Dude, I can't believe the Leafs lost 8-1. Well, actually, the Leafs lost 7-1. That last goal didn't count. Oh, well then what's everyone crying about?
What? You serious?
Mind blown. We need ideas.
I'm dumb.
Silly hard. We get to the game, please. There it is. There, we were wondering. Leafs have gotten beaten handily a couple times, but they've missed out on a real good ass kicking. Wait no longer. That was it. Leafs lose 7-1 to the offensively incompetent New York Rangers. The Rangers head into last night's game with 98 goals on the entire season, one of the worst offenses in the entire league. They then scored 7 goals, or 6.6% of their goals on the year on the Leafs in one game. The Rangers, who once again struggle mightily offensively, got 50 shots on the Leafs, and if you think it's a one-off, last time the Leafs and Rangers played, a 2-1 shootout loss to the Rangers, they got 43 shots. Ooh, the Rangers got the Leafs in a big way. The league might have the Leafs. Even in the Winter Classic, which the Leafs won, they gave up 43 shots. On that ice? I didn't even think that was possible. Now, before I get into the numbers, eye test, they didn't show up. I think that's why they wear the names on the back of their jerseys in case they get lost. Jonathan Bernier, who gave up a couple stinkers, allowed 5 goals on 32 shots. Bernier faced 32 shots. He didn't even play 2 periods. Throwing his mask on the bench. I hope that wasn't frustration with himself. It was the team. Now, some numbers. I wrote the Leafs game day post, otherwise known as the pre-game post, on theleafsnation.com for this game. And I noticed a couple things and went, the Leafs might get their asses kicked tonight. And I somewhat alluded to it, but I didn't quite say it, and I should have. I could have been like the scientist from the day after tomorrow, going, Mr. Vice President, I have some information. Regular hockey guys, you and your statistics, what do you know? And all I could do was watch it happen. Without getting too super nerdy, crash course in 2 advanced stats, whatever that means anymore. They're just stats. Corsi and PDO. Corsi. Thought of as a hockey blogger nerd stat thing. It's not. It was developed by the Buffalo Sabres goaltending coach whose last name is Corsi. It's not an acronym. Stop capitalizing the whole thing. Anyway, I've probably explained this before, but what it is an attempt on net. It's shots, but it's shots that make it through to the goalie for a save, make it through for a goal, shots that get blocked, shots that miss the net, anything that makes a goalie have to tense up. That's why Corsi came up with the stat to measure how hard a goalie actually worked in a game, his workload. You may not realize it, but you've been told to out-Corsi the other team since before you were a baby. Anyone ever watch Coach's Corner? Anyone ever buy a Rock'em Sock'em tape or DVD? Just put it on the net, kids, you never know what's gonna happen. Let's go! And you want to get quality scoring chances for sure, but that's the name of the game, isn't it? Put the puck in their net. And you can't put the puck in it unless you put the puck at it. And, probably more importantly for the Leafs, prevent the other team from putting the puck at and in your net. The Leafs head into last night's game 29th. That's the second worst Corsi team in the entire NHL, ahead of only Buffalo, who I believe passed the Leafs after this game. The Rangers go in 12th. That's above league average. But more importantly, they're up and up and up and up. I saw the team's Corsi charts throughout the season, and I wish I saved it. I'll draw it for you. Here is basically what it looked like. The Rangers are red, the Leafs are in blue. Basically, regardless of how each team has done in the standings over the last, I'd say month or so, the Rangers' possession numbers, their Corsi numbers, have been going up and up and up. The Leafs, who have done well recently, have been going down and down and down. Meanwhile, PDO. PDO, no way? No, that's PDA. Public displays of affection. Stop smooching in public. It's gross. Oh, who am I kidding? Do whatever you want, you crazy lovebirds. Anyway, PDO helps measure luck. Now, you can't really measure luck. You can't measure a puck going in off some guy's ass. A couple years ago, I remember Dion Phaneuf taking a slap shot. It cracked off Grabowski's helmet and went in. You can't predict that. That's luck. But PDO helps sort of predict it to an extent. Here's how easy it is. Take your team's save percentage, add it up with your team's shot percentage. There you go. An average team will have a PDO of about 100. If your team is below 100, you're having some bad luck. If your team is above 100, good luck. So let's pretend your team stops 94% of their shots. That's a pretty good save percentage. And they score on about 8%. A team shooting percentage of 8% is pretty good. Your PDO is 102. That is good. Let's pretend your team only stops 90% of the shots they face. That's pretty terrible. Think of some goalies out there who are only stopping 90% of the shots they face. And they're scoring not much worse than the other team, 7%, let's say. Add it up, you got a PDO of 97. pretty brutal in comparison. Leafs go into last night 4th in PDO in the entire NHL, 102.1, the edge. Rangers go in 28th, third last, 97.8. Now let's put our brains to this test. One stat shows that the Rangers are relatively unlucky, and that same stat shows that the Leafs are actually very lucky. Another stat shows that regardless of the outcome of their games, the Rangers are improving. And that same stat, regardless of the Leafs being 3-0-2 in their last 5, their possession of the puck is going down. You need the puck to score and prevent goals, do you not? Seeing this kind of made me go, oh my god. What is the point of all that I'm telling you? Yes, it is great that the Leafs are currently in a playoff spot. Believe me, I'm happy. I just don't think they're gonna hang on to it if they keep doing what they're doing. At one end of the ice, they're letting their goalie get shelled almost every single night, and at the other, they're not doing enough. One line, even if it's your top line, doing terrible in one game, doesn't lose you the game 7-1. There's something ill at the core of what the Leafs do night in, night out. Randy Carlyle played Jay McClement more than any other center on the team. Forget Bozak, Kadri, Holland. More than anyone. And you know what? Jay McClement was not on for a single goal from the Rangers, which is kind of a miracle. But at the same time, he's not going to score you any goals, guys. Maybe one. Maybe one. So Steve, you went on this whole ranty diatribe about why the Leafs are just rah, rah, rah. How do you fix it? I know the Leafs played most of last night's game without Carl Gunnarsson, but they need to get better defense. Even when Gunnarsson was on the ice, the Leafs only had 1 Corsi 4 and 9 against. Get the word or name Corsi out of your head because it sounds nerdy. 1 shot attempt for and 9 shot attempts against. And I saw some people ranting about Dion Phaneuf last night. That's hilarious. Okay, I know he's the team captain, he should get them amped up, he should send a message and try to get his team to not lose by that much. I get that. But while he was on the ice, 1 goal for the Leafs, 1 goal against the Leafs. Even Paul Ranger, 0 goals for, 4 against. And unfortunately Morgan Rielly was along for the ride for most of that. 1 goal for while he was on the ice, 4 against. Hopefully Tim Gleason can come in, be a good leader for Rielly, and just replace the unfortunate tire fire that Ranger has been at times. I want Ranger to succeed so bad. It would be such a nice story. It's not working out consistently enough. Maybe that takes time. Maybe that takes a full season to build back up. Maybe he'll be a great NHL defenseman. But Ranger probably gets a disproportionate amount of flack for the Leafs struggles. You know who has gotten next to none, and he has played awful all season, at least in his own zone? Cody Franzen. 0 goals, 4 while he was on the ice in this game, 3 goals against. For example, Morgan Rielly has been on the ice for 30 goals against the Leafs. That's the worst on the entire team in just 34 games. That's kind of a feat. Franzen tied for 2nd worst on the team, 29 goals against while he's on the ice. Tied with whom? Phil Kessel, oddly. Difference being Morgan Rielly on ice for 20 goals for, 30 against, that's -10. Franzen 25 for, 29 against, -4. Phil Kessel 32 for, 29 against, +3. For those wondering, Paul Ranger 16 goals for, 25 against, that would be -9. And you know who else has actually been brutal? Joffrey Lupul. 17 goals for, 27 against, -10, just like Morgan Rielly. Phaneuf 28 goals for, 15 against, +13. So here's what I'm going to do. Because I just threw a lot of stats at you, not all of them made sense, and some of them were lacking other supporting stats. I'm going to post a link below, extraskater.com, fantastic for quote-unquote advanced stats. You look at it, and in the comment box, I want you all to just figure out amongst yourselves who has been a tire fire this season, who has been good, who should probably find their way out of town, who the Leafs could use. And to fully answer the question that I began to ask myself earlier, the Leafs need at least 1 more good, guaranteed top 4 defensemen, none of this theoretical crap, and they need to start to get away from the idea of a grinding shutdown line. They don't have it. And it's not preventing the other team's offense as much as it's preventing the Leafs. And when I said find stats that support other stats or question other stats, here's a perfect example of what I mean. Morgan Rielly's been on the ice for 10 more goals against than goals for. Horrible, right? 4th best Corsi on the entire Leafs team. In comparison to the rest of his teammates, the teenager has a better shot for and against differential. But eye test, he makes a lot of, rookie mistakes, and he takes a lot of offensive risks because that's the kind of player he is. Leading me to believe that if he had a better defensive partner, that pairing could, take off. Or at least not completely suck. I said Morgan Riley was 4th on the team in Corsi. If you want to know the rest, drum roll please. Number 3, Jake Gardner. Number 2, brrr, can't wait to see how people use this one, Dave Boland. And number 1, brrr, Nazem Kadri. And Kadri, by the way, has played like a dog pile recently, in my opinion, but I look at that number and I go, you know what? He'll turn it around. Anyway, this video is way too long and way too ranty. I don't expect it to get a lot of views, but I think it's beneficial. And I'll straight up say it right away, and you're not gonna get this on any of the broadcasters or anything. Question me. There's a good chance some of the stuff I said was wrong. I don't need any of this posturing, I'm right and I'm the expert, suit and tie, everything. That's not what the internet is about. The internet's not a bunch of nerds in their basement friggin', you know, just discussing random like, Dungeons and Dragons all day. The internet is the world. It's not just weirdos and tech geeks that have it. Everyone has it nowadays, pretty much. I want this to be a place where we can all discuss ideas. And it's a lot more in-depth and intriguing and analytical than going, oh, you gotta win the battles. I'm bored. Show me numbers, and if you got numbers, show me video. What's wrong with that exactly?